So you might be noticing something about this man. He's 43 years old. I'd be lying if I said part of the reason I signed him wasn't just because he was 43, because I actually wanted to see if this guy was even possible. Natural fitness of 2, not too surprising, but 43 years old.
Into the black hole. Sing for my soul.
Hi guys, and welcome back to another episode of Sunshine on Leyth. As always, if you enjoyed the series, drop a like on the video. That really does help out with the channel. So I thought we'd start today on the staff screen because there's so little screens I can show that won't spoil stuff. I mean, to be fair, you can kind of see that we've actually not done a lot with the staff really because, well, money's tight. Money is very, very tight, and we've still ended up overspending because it is just so incredibly tight down at this division. We do have another scout though. Has to be on quite a decent amount of money because the minimum you can pay scouts seems to be about 130, which is still way more than I'd want to spend. But that is life. We did need another one just so we could get a bit of recruitment done. And believe me, that's been very, very difficult. Now, of course, the transfer window doesn't actually shut for at least another month, although I don't know what it's like at the lower leagues. It might be that actually it's not so bad and we can kind of do what we want with that. I don't know if there's actually even a proper transfer window at this level, which could help us at least pick up players we find throughout the season. So the mad rush to sign players isn't quite as bad as it could have been. I kind of just expected that we'd be able to pick up loads of relatively solid players on non-contracts and kind of just go from there. I was very wrong about that. Basically, any player that was worth their salt wanted very, very decent money. We actually had a guy on trial, and I thought, okay, he's reasonably good. £800 a week he wanted. £800 a week to play in the 8th tier. Even Blackhaven United are not going to be spending... Well, actually, no, they probably are, let's face it. Can you show us more about Blackhaven, though? Maybe the club page? Oh, yes, I can. Begrudgingly, but yes. So it seems they're already in the process of a board takeover, which is just going wonderfully for them currently. They have got quite a team. Now, we don't know what this team's actually like, but I can assume that they're probably quite decent. Let's have a little look. Now, we don't know that much about them, but what we do know, frankly, is that they've got players whose values are into the thousands, and we can only dream of such things. Now, they've got Nick Sandy. I mean, they've got some... Wow, that's a great name. Champollion. That's a very cool name. But you can see that just their values alone are far better than anything we've got even close to. It's also interesting that they're playing a back 5 kind of system. I'd be interested to see how that does in the league with us. I mean, they'll surely just steamroller things just due to their pure quality, of course. Now, if you are interested in more about Blackhaven, the database video I did yesterday actually does talk a bit more about the club and the way we've set things up. So do go watch that if you get the chance. I'm not even sure why exactly I'm treating them so nicely at this point. I mean, like, we can say what we like about them at this point. Like, what are they actually going to do? Buy my voice?
Blackhaven is the greatest football club in the history of the world. Look at this guy, he thinks he's so great. This message brought to you by Tomas Stepanek.
So enough about these mugs. Let's talk about us. This is where we really need to be. Today we're playing against Loughborough. Loughborough Dynamo, of all people. They've got another Loughborough team in the division below as well, which is kind of interesting. There's a lot of Loughborough around here. So you may recall in yesterday's episode, I talked about my desires to play a 4-4-2. And so I built a 4-4-2. Just a sort of general shape of a tactic with some ideas that I've been kind of plumbing around. I wanted to play quite a high press with a high line and use 2 strikers for once. I even wanted to try out some different roles, like maybe try a pressing forward or maybe not a deep line forward. I don't know. I never really liked deep line forwards this year. And just to mess things around a little bit. And then I actually built it and I realised we didn't actually have any central midfielders, which was just delightful. Not the end of the world, of course, because you can sign them, and that's what I intended to do. But in the meantime, I decided to try something out, and I feel like I've gone down an alley now that I kind of want to stay in for a little bit and see where this leads. Some of you may know the system as the cursed formation, because I noticed a lot of teams in Portugal's lower leagues like to play that style, and I never really understood why and what they would benefit from doing it. And I think it's just because I was stuck in the mindset of trying to play tiki-taka, kind of really fancy football. And it turns out that it seems to work quite nicely in the lower leagues, and I'll explain more about that in a minute. Also, those of you that are new to the channel, I tend to have a transfer outfit that I wear every transfer window. Now, usually it's something to do with the club, but I don't really know what to do for this one, so I'm opening up the floor. What do you think should be the transfer outfit for Whitport Athletic? Do let me know in the comments. The board did give me a little bit more money for wages, which was good. I also managed to move some of the scouting budget into wages, eventually by putting it to the transfer budget and then moving it across, because literally, we can get some players on loan, but because of the way we're set up, we really don't know much about them before we bring them in, and most of the players that will join us on loan won't join us on trial, so we don't know if they're any good or not, and we've had to take some risks, and some of them just have not paid off. But we've at least managed to get our wage spending down to kinda close to the amount. So as is tradition, I brought players in on loan, on trial, that were coming up in our scout reports, basically, because it's just easier to get a little look at them. And basically what I would do is I'd keep them for a week, then try to offer them a contract just to see what kind of money they'd want. Most of the ones that were any good were you just couldn't. They wanted a minimum of about £200 a week. I'm going to be honest, and we cannot afford that right now. But one of the ones that didn't was this guy, Richard Popple, who's coming from Biggleswade Town. He's one of the few players that have actually joined us from a specific club, on a non-contract deal, of course, which is what makes it slightly better. Just wanted some more options on that right-hand side. He's a defensive winger, but at this level, you're not going to get amazing attributes. But for 20 years old, he's got reasonable potential, it would seem. He's not costing us anything apart from the occasional appearance fee, so I thought that was a reasonably solid piece of business. All these transfers, of course, have been free. Then we have Adam Jones, who can also play on that right-hand side. Now, he is considered a decent player, but he is 30 years old, getting on a little bit. But he's on a one-year deal, and he's on £80 a week, which is a lot of money. Well, there is one guy who's on a lot more than that that's come in, but he's got great natural fitness, decent pace and acceleration, and he's a nice right-sided player. So that seemed to be the method that we wanted to be pushing through, because essentially what I did, because we didn't have any central midfielders at the start of the pre-season, I played a 4-4-2, but I dropped back the two central midfield slots as DMs. So one as a DM and one as like a ball-winning midfielder, because that's where our quality players were. That's where Elderkin plays, and that's where Shane something or other also plays. So two of our stronger players were both DMs. So it felt silly for me to start the pre-season trying to force them into a square peg, in a round hole in the centre of midfield. And the performance was actually quite solid, so I do wonder if there's something there. And I've kind of pervaded with that for the rest of pre-season, and I do actually kind of like it. Despite it not having any kind of designated playmaker, it seems to be okay. But we'll talk more about that in a second. But we've actually kind of gone into that, we've sort of steered into the skid on that one. So we're playing a more aggressive approach with a bit more of a long ball sort of idea, where you get the ball up quickly to your striker, who can knock it down to the other one, and then play balls in behind with lots of pass into space and lots of kind of expansive play. And it seems to work quite nicely, albeit against other poor sides in friendly. But some of the football's actually quite fun to watch because it's so quick and expansive and counter-attacking, and it's quite nice. And then we've got Scott Maxfield, who can play in the central midfield as well, but he's more of a left-sided, a fullback who can do a bit of defending, sort of, really, on a non-contract deal. So you might be noticing something about this man. He's 43 years old. I'd be lying if I said part of the reason I signed him wasn't just because he was 43, because I actually wanted to see if this guy was even possible. Natural fitness of 2, not too surprising, but 43 years old. He's an old boy, let's face it, but we do what we can. He's very brave. Then we have another old boy in Chris Gray, who again is coming on a non-contract basis to sort of play as a potential centre-back, even though he's 5'10", or as another sort of backup DM, since we're going to need some options in there. This was later in the window. Also, he played for a team called Leicester Nirvana, and that alone makes me want to have him in the team. Also, he played for Loughborough, in fact, our opponents today. I don't think I've ever seen a player who's played for more clubs than this man right now. That is, I know some of them are loan spells, but my giddy aunt, what a career. And now it's about to really take off, isn't it? But the biggest signing for me over this entire period is Ben Mills. Now, you'll notice he's on £180 a week, which is a lot, but we moved some money around to make that work. Essentially, I was like, if we're going to spend money on a player, I want to put it down on one guy who could do a job for us. Now, he played in a couple of friendlies. Now, he's also played some friendlies before that for us, but then he left the trial and came back. So he was actually better in his first couple of friendlies, scored a hat-trick on his debut in a friendly, and I felt like, you know what, he's 18, he's got room to grow potentially. It's probably the best we're going to get at this point. He's the only player of any real decent value for us. He's reasonably quick for the level, quite short, but has decent finishing, okay first touch. Very determined though, anticipation and composure are poor, but remember where we are after all. The first of which is Tyler Walker, who's come in on a loan from Ossett United. He can play on either side, which is the key thing, because he's actually got very strong on both feet, which is very, very interesting indeed. So he'll probably play through that left-hand side. He's not the quickest, but the loan market was actually particularly sparse, I've got to be honest. So he's probably one of the better players we've been able to bring in on loan. And of course, it is only August 3rd. There's still room for us to do more, and we're probably going to need to as well, but they'll all have to be loans on no, basically, wages from here on out. The same kind of applies from a man here, Lyddon Braveboy. You might notice that his name is somewhat of an oxymoron. I actually couldn't believe it when he had one bravery and his name was Braveboy. But nevertheless, because once again he has good finishing, decent determination, I brought him in anyway just to see what he can do. We've also got Emmanuel Abu Bakar, who is a reasonably tall centre-back, who can also play at left-back too, with some attributes, I guess. We've also got Michael Jones, who's coming on loan from Hullbridge Sports, or just Hullbridge, in fact, to give us some more backup on that left-hand side. Decent crossing and dribbling, in fairness to him. But we do have Rob Toomey, who's coming and can once again play on both sides of the sort of defensive lineup, which is nice to see. So he's come in from Bury Town. We've got Elliot French from Nuneaton, who, as much as he's poor, because he is a 5'7" centre-back with very little in terms of pace and acceleration, he is very good at heading. He's got excellent marking for a player at this level, and his tackling's average at best. But positioning, decisions, not too bad. There's a lot of other things that left to be a bit desired, but nevertheless, on a free. So, Lee Attenborough, I don't know if he's any related to David, is the manager of Loughborough. They have quite a nice kit that's kind of not dissimilar to the kit that Blackhaven play in, their away kit. So this was the original idea I had for a 4-4-2, with the ball in the midfield and a DLP in the middle. Advanced forwards up top, because I really just didn't want to play a DLP because it didn't really suit this style, with wingers on the side and also wingbacks on support to get forward a little bit when they can do. Standard sort of pass into space to get balls over the top. But of course, we didn't really have any options in the centre of midfield, so I ended up moving to one with the the centre midfielders drawn back slightly to accommodate the players we already had. And then when we played that in a couple of games while I was still looking to sign players, I noticed we were looking quite good with it. Obviously, we've made a lot of changes since then, and this is kind of what we come up with. So one of the things we've changed is we have got some overlapping on the right and left-hand sides, which is interesting, and it does seem to generate a little bit more space, which, as you would expect. Other than that, I'm not really sure what else we've changed. We're distributed the centre-backs. We already were doing that. The only thing we have changed as well is we've pushed to a slightly higher line, because I find what happens is when we press a bit higher up the pitch, we're winning the ball back with these guys who can then push into the centre of midfield area, and they tend to find these balls over the top. The only other change I think I've made was to bring in a pressing forward instead of an advanced forward here, just to sort of give us a bit more of a dynamic front line, and that's where Ben Mills is going to operate, because he's just a better player, basically. This is not the lineup we're going to go with. This is just what played the last friendly. We've also made our pitch longer to make it more susceptible to those types of counter-attacks. So we'll have to see. So how is the lineup actually going to go today is a very different matter. Now, obviously, you're going to get red here because you're being seriously overrun in the midfield. The game suggests that, and that's why I was concerned about playing this system, but it doesn't seem to cause a problem that much, really. Now, I'm still not sold on this shape at all, and we'll see how it performs against actually decent sides. So you can see it's definitely improved us now. So we've got O'Donovan in goal. On the right, we've got Smith and Gray at the back line, but I think we can do better than that. Walker and Jones on the wings is good. Marshall, do I want Marshall? Like, we've got a lot of options in this area. And one player I have played in that role was actually Mark Bamford, but I'm still a little bit unsure about that for now. We've got all kinds of options off the bench with some of the loan signings, but I think Liam Marshall might start up there for today. I'm also going to start Shane Barnes, because these were the two that we had to start with that sort of forced us into this situation with Elderkin and Barnes. It's better, but you can see that there's still a long way to go. The best players are very good, and the worst ones are not very good. And at some point, I would quite like to play one of these guys as a regista, like we've done on stream before. But at this point, you're not going to get away with playing a regista in the H tier, because they just won't have the quality for it. Of course, it will take us a little while to settle into things and get things going. But I'm tentatively pleased with some of the signings. I think maybe had I been a bit more sensible with the loan signings, we could have avoided having to sign Mills, but I also just think that we need a player of that kind of quality, because it just seems that any player of that quality costs too much, and the loan signings aren't good enough currently. So we'll have to see. Maybe we'll be able to find a couple of gems towards the end of the window. Hopefully this system will work. I don't know. We've got a 42-year-old centre-back and a 43-year-old left-back. It's a risk, I'm going to be honest. I'd be very happy if we just got a point away from home here, to be honest. Go on, win that. Let's get the breakaway. Here we go. Marshall, knock it out wide. Go on, son. Right, Walker's got it. I'm not really breaking in the sort of... He's not the quickest, is he, Walker? But look at the space through the middle. Barnes with the ball out wide to Maxfield. There's loads of options in the box. Can he get that ball in? He does. It's come through to Jones and he scored. Adam Jones in 11 minutes gives us the lead. Wow. Scott Maxfield, the 43-year-old left-back with the assist of all people. But this is what I mean about the counter-attack. Admittedly, Walker's very slow, and so's Maxfield. But we still broke forward when we needed to, and we just overloaded. With those two strikers, we had the right-sided midfielder also getting into the box, and they just weren't able to cope with it. A lovely finish from Adam Jones. His first goal for the club, and our first ever goal in the save. It's pleasing. Always remember Adam Jones for that, and he is up for it now. Finds Mills, and Mills has got it. Ben Mills has got it down. I think it's a tight angle for him. He won't probably be able to score from there. It's gone too deep, and it's flicked across the goal, but really nice work again. Look at the space for Ben Mills. Oh, that's a poor ball. Lovely ball over the top, and it's over the top. Wow, they've got him behind here. Atkinson, and it's a brilliant tackle, I think from Gray. Lovely tackle from Maxfield. Oh, no, it's not. No, it's not. Scott Maxfield has been sent off. Oh, God. On his debut, his legs just didn't have it. They just didn't have it. Do we even want to go attacking still? I want to see how this goes. Honestly, that was not a good moment. Oh, good block again. We're really going to be up against it now. Well, at least we've got something to hang on to. Wait, now they're down to 10 men. 2 red cards in the first half. Okay, sure. I might just stick it back on attacking again then. Did not see that one coming. A red card each in the first half of the match. Burrows. Oh, what a save by O'Donovan. It's dirty down here, isn't it? They have got a lot better since we had to take a player off. Jones has got it though. Remember, there's a breakaway for us again. We've got 2-on-2 at the back. I think Jones could go all the way through here. He has gone all the way through. Can he finish a second goal? And he's missed it. Really good chance there for Adam Jones to give us a second goal. It's been a pretty cagey game so far. We've had probably the slightly better of the chances, but good clearance. Norris, great block again. We're really getting the blocks in the key areas though. Wow, we've committed a lot of fouls. That's an awful lot of fouls. Ironically, the one player who's playing well is the only player that could really conceivably be a substitute right now. Although I think Martin Smith could do with a little rest, so that's probably going to be our last sub. We'll probably leave the other one. We'll see. They've got a really poor performer in their midfield. I think if we can hang on here and get the victory, it would be a very, very hard fought. Oh no, what are you doing? What a save from O'Donovan there. That's just rescued us potentially a win. And it's flicked on by Mills. No, nobody's there. Let's get to the back post, potentially. Walker! And it's in! Tyler Walker makes it 2-0 with an assist this time from Adam Jones. And Whitport Athletic are going to get their first ever victory in this save. This has been a topsy-turvy game. About as topsy-turvy as they can possibly go. It's well defended, I'd say, here by Loughborough. But then the ball just ends up back with Adam Jones. And of all people, Tyler Walker getting in there. He's quite tall, to be fair. Scores his first goal on his debut. And we're 2-0 up away at Loughborough. That's a very good start. Good clearance, and that should do it. There we go. Loughborough 0, Whitport Athletic 2. Adam Jones and Tyler Walker with the goals. Both the wingers grabbing us the victory tonight. And we actually go above Blackhaven as a result, winning 2-0. I did not expect to win that. I thought a draw would be, and when we got the man sent off, I thought it was over for us, but we've played quite well. Limited them mostly to long shots, which I think has definitely done the trick, and we've got our first victory. Still a long way to go with this, but we're definitely at least adjacent to potentially the right track. What a weird first half that was, but the Jones goal and then the late one from Walker, Jones with the assist as well. I think he could be a key prospect for us this season. I think Jones and Mills are going to be super important in the long run, but I just want to find a couple more players to slot in and just make us a little bit more strong across the board, because at the moment we've got some real weaknesses, and with a few injuries it could get really, really bad. But to win our first game is really, really important, and away from home no less. We just need to be looking at this sort of area. That's all we need. So we have an awful lot of games in August, it would seem, although admittedly 2 of those are on the same day, and they will obviously get moved when the FA Cup is drawn. So I'm not even sure where to come back, really. Obviously, the next episode is actually going to be the Glossop game, because I'm changing the live com structure slightly. So we'll start off with a match, have some off-camera games in between, and then finish with a match. That way we get to a game a little bit faster. So I guess it'll have to be a surprise. We know we'll be doing Glossop, but it'll be someone else in there as well, depending on how the fixtures shake out, because obviously we've got a lot more transfers to do. So if you've enjoyed this episode, and I hope you have, we've won our first game of the season with goals from Adam Jones and Tyler Walker. Always excellent news. Blackhaven won, unfortunately, which is sad times, but what can you do? Then drop a like on the video, that'd be tremendous. If you're new to the channel, subscribe, that'd be awesome as well. I also stream on Twitch on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and sometimes at the weekends as well, so go follow over there as well. And I will see you guys very, very soon as we push on into the season, hopefully to make some legend. Don't worry, we'll be doing comments and all sorts in the next video. I just wanted to get the transfers. See you guys very, very soon. As always, hold your gun, capybara. Thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye.